In this video, we're going to go over the fastest way to set up file to use Whippet. If you want to just do traditional 2D storyboards using the new Story Tools update in Blender 5.0, this is how we can use it. Go ahead and open up the N panel menu here. So by pressing N over the viewport, go to your scene tools, ensure that you have the correct edit scene that you're working in selected here, and then make sure that you have the exact same scene name down here. You'll choose where you want your scene strips to land in which channel. So here you can see they're start by default in channel 1. So I'll go ahead and just hit channel 1 here. And then you can set your scene start frame to be whatever you want. In this case, the Blender default is 1, so I'll go ahead and do that. The reason why Whippet comes with 5 and 100 for these values is for when you're working in 3D. It's good to have frames ahead of where you're starting in case you need to move things around. And then the channel 5 is just so that you can start adding audio strips underneath, like dialogue and sound effects, so you can quickly cut an animatic together. And then all you need to do is press this Whippet button here, which will bring up this pop-up menu. And what you'll do from here is you'll select the aspect ratio you want to work in. You can also hit custom and add your own if you prefer that. I like to work in 235. You can set the background color. So if you want to have like a gray like this, you can do that, or just pure white. You can decide how many strips you want to include, so between 1 and 10. So we can stick with 5. And then whether or not you want to delete the existing strips. So if you're starting from a clean file, I would do this because you don't want to actually utilize these Blender default scene strips because they're not quite set up to work with all the Whippet functionality. So go ahead and delete them. But then the next time you want to add more scene strips, you would just untick this and it won't delete all your Whippet scene strips essentially. Okay, so now if I just zoom out here, you can see I've got 5 scene strips. They're all set up. They've got Whippet collections set up here with a grease pencil object and a camera. Okay, so if you want to add more shots, then we can just hit the Whippet button again. Again, the pop-up will come up. It will remember everything that you had set before, but this time I want to keep the existing scene strips that I have. So let's say you've storyboarded 5 shots. You can untick delete existing strips and then hit OK. And it will automatically add subsequent strips here and auto set the frame range for your edit scene to make sure that it captures all of the strips down here. So again, this setup is intended for using Blender to do traditional like 2D storyboards, where just like Storyboard Pro, where every shot is its own scene. If you zoom out here on your dope sheet, you can actually see essentially the time that a scene strip relates to your storyboard scene. So here you can see that the light gray area is where your scene strip starts and ends. So you can't go beyond that. You can retime this, you can trim, edit, you can treat this whole sequencer down here just like you were doing anything in Premiere or Resolve. If you select a scene strip and press S, you can retime when the scene strip happens. You can of course trim shots so you can see that it reduces the scene strip timing with the storyboard scene. You can move things around, of course, just your standard nonlinear editing timeline. Whippet comes with features and tools to help you do this faster. So as a quick example, you can trim the right handle or the left handle by hitting this button, and then it will automatically close gaps for you. Same thing from the front. If you want to close the left, it'll do that. So now you can see the timing of the scene strip in relation to this shot has changed. If you want to duplicate a shot, then you can select the scene strip that you want to duplicate and hit Shift D. And what this does is it actually creates an entire unique copy of the previous scene. So here you can see in the top right, we had Whippet scene .001. And then in this one, we now have .011, which is after the 10. So this is an entirely new unique copy. So anything I do in this shot here, it does not exist in this shot. So it's basically copy pasting a unique instance. If you do Alt D, then you're going to get a linked copy. So basically all it's doing is it's looking back at the same scene. It's more just copy pasting the scene strip itself and not so much creating a whole new scene. So it's exactly the same scene. So anything I do in this scene strip that's linked and you come back to here, it's the exact same scene strip. The issue with using the native Blender scene strip duplication is that it doesn't rename the Whippet labels properly, and it doesn't rename the items in your collection properly either. So my best tip is to, instead of actually doing this method, what I would do is you can just use the convert the active camera to scene strip. If you want a linked copy, or if you want to duplicate a shot, what I would do is go to Whippet and then just hit duplicate scene. So for example, if I want to copy paste and make a completely unique copy of the shot to try something else, then all I have to do is go to duplicate scene, and I can hit this button. It'll auto rename everything for you. It just does a Blender copy paste, and then you can hit this button right here that converts the active camera to a scene strip, and then it's added here. So now I essentially am working from the original that we had here, shot 1, but it's a unique copy. If you want to cut back to this exact same shot and all this work that you have in this one scene strip, in this one scene, then you can just hit this button. You don't have to come up here and hit duplicate. And what this does is it'll just create another, it's like doing the linked copy, the linked scene strip. It'll just create another scene strip that's looking at the exact same camera, and it does all of that binding and for you. We'll get more into this when we go into 3D, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. It's better to just use the Whippet functionality rather than doing Shift-D, Alt-D.